Hey everyone, today we're looking at the SHFiguarts Obi-Wan Kenobi from the Obi-Wan Kenobi series. This is the equivalent of the Jabiim Obi-Wan in the Black series, which we of course will compare this to at the end of the video. The face printing on this is looking kinda rough, and we even see that reflected on the box art as well. But I guess he should be looking sort of like he's been living out in the sun and that he's seen some stuff. He has a wired cloak here, which I'm looking forward to checking out. And holy cow, does he have a lot of alternate hands. I can't remember the last time I've seen this many alternate hands in one figure. I think that's 18 total pairs, including the ones that are on his wrists already. Now, if you're not familiar with SHFiguarts, their figures tend to have better articulation than the Black series, but the articulation is a lot looser, so you'll see a lot of times when I try to apply pressure to higher parts of the figure, the legs just kind of like buckle under the weight, and there is just a lot more to constantly adjust on these figures versus the Black series where the joints tend to hold a little bit tighter, so you may see me kind of messing around with this a bit during the review. And nice articulation here at the wrist and knee, the elbow and the knee, but what really makes this figure is these shoulder joints, which we're going to look into in a little bit. There's like a joint in there that bends outward to give you a lot of really nice range while still being able to get that figure's shoulders back into place when you no longer need it. You can see how far they pull out here. I'll show you what that looks like a little bit later. We'll pop the arms off and take a look inside. And let's get this out of the way because I think it's pretty important to compare this to the Black series Jabiim Obi-Wan. Full disclosure, I did do a bit of a matte spray on my Jabiim Obi-Wan, which affected the texture on the skirt just a little bit. Pardon my clumsy hands, but I just wanted to show you that the articulation on the Black series in terms of like the bends are not that bad, but it really is these shoulders and especially the wrists that really get into issues here. You can see that he can barely like cross his arms, and on the SHFiguarts you get way further, which is really important when you have a lightsaber wielding character. You can see all of the extra joints up in these shoulders there and on the biceps. I guess that would be more like upper triceps, but you know what I mean. Because on the Black series one, there is very little movement in the hands because of the way that the cloth around the wrists is sculpted, and then these shoulders are just really limited. He has like butterfly joints deep under there, but it doesn't really help. Let's look at the accessories here. This comes with Lola with separate legs, and this clips on pretty nicely. There's no articulation, like it's not a ball peg like the Black series one, and then there's a separate Lola included that has the little wings closed rather than just having that articulated like it was on the Black series one. And then he also has a blaster that, we're not really going to be displaying him with his blaster. This is all about that final lightsaber duel. The face printing on the SHFiguarts has been pretty disappointing for a while now, so let's check out this alternate head. I do love the sculpt on this. I think that the hair in front of the face is really cool, just that slightly messier look. It would have been cool to see that in the Black series, since again, like this is all about that final duel and those fun lightsaber poses. And this is the Black series one on the right and the SHFiguarts on the left. I do like the more saturated blue on the Black series and slightly bigger hilt. And then the way that the Figuarts one works is you pull these two pieces apart because the hands that hold the lightsabers don't actually have open fingers. It's just like a closed O grip. And the little wrist pegs on the Figuarts are the same that we've seen before. It's a little smaller than I would like, especially since we've seen how those larger wrist pegs work with like Black series and the new Indiana Jones line. But I think once you get the hang of it, they aren't too difficult to work with, and they do allow for a greater range of motion than I've seen in the Black series figures with the same kind of like ball joint articulation. A lot of times SHFiguarts figures can feel a little bit over-engineered, especially when there's just like a bunch of pieces moving around when you don't want them to, but it is possible to see the benefits of all of that engineering. I think overall it does benefit the figure. I saw someone else do this pose with the slightly open hand grabbing the bottom of the lightsaber, and I thought that was kind of interesting. It also works really nicely as a force hand. Having these open force hands I feel like is so inexcusable that the Black series doesn't do this. I think it's more about the principles of the line rather than the actual cost of doing so, but I definitely don't know that for certain. I'm just speculating here. Let's try it with the Black series Jabiim Obi-Wan head here. This is actually a pretty nice compromise here. Like I think this is a nice middle ground between the two figures. I definitely like the body on this more than the Black series one. I think the head is just like nice and clean and will just fit in a little bit better on the Black series shelf. It looks a little big and we'll need a little bit of sticky tack to kind of get it to sit properly, but this could be a good compromise here. I don't know, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. We're going to try a lot of different combinations here. And now this is a custom head by Fett Clone. I will have him linked below. This is more for the Wandering Jedi look when his hair is a little bit neater. He is working on a kind of messier Jabiim Obi-Wan head, which I can't wait to get with the messy hair. That'll probably be my winner for this. But you can see, like I mentioned before about the shoulder articulation, the Black series figure really can't do this pose very well, like we see at the very end of the movie, the show. This is where those special shoulders really come in handy. But the problem with Figuarts sometimes is that you get little issues like this where you go to move a joint and it pops out. This is probably due to my popping the arms out intentionally a little bit earlier, probably primed it to fall out a little bit more easily. But you can see how this little shoulder socket has its own joint so it can move in and out. Really just nice articulation here. I don't know if this is like a very standard Figuarts thing. This is the first time I've really noticed it, but for those of you that are much more into import figures like this, this might be super old news. But overall, the like expressiveness that you can get out of this figure with the alternate hands and the extra mobility is just really unmatched. So both SHFiguarts and the Black Series are releasing new Darth Vaders with the battle damaged helmet. This is a custom one painted by Frederick's Figures from a Scoundrel stock sculpt, just to scratch that itch of seeing these two characters together, since I feel like you're not going to be getting one without getting the other. And this one here is actually the Attack of the Clones SHFiguarts, which I think is a terrible likeness to Ewan McGregor. You can take a little bit of a look here at the articulation and see just how these figures compare. Pretty standard Figuarts considering that this one came out so many years ago. There's not that much innovation on this new Jabiim figure. My first impression of these soft goods is that it's very large. I don't think that we needed this pocket sewn on. I don't think that translates well to this scale. I think it would have been better just to like have it without. I don't think that it's that important to have that pocket. This does have a wire going down the side, around the bottom, and then through the hood as well. It needs a lot of finagling to look good here. I know that there are people that really like soft goods and a lot of people that are much better than I am at kind of arranging these to look cool. I'm just really not feeling these, and the main reason, I just don't like the mixed media. I like my figures to either be all plastic or have like all cloth clothes like Hot Toys does. I'm not a big fan of the in-between. I even ended up resin printing Jedi robes for my Mace Windu and Anakin figures just because I really prefer the way that the sculpted plastic looks, in this case resin, rather than having just the cloth. And I do have the file for those Jedi robes on my Patreon in case you were interested in that. And all you have to do is paint the Jedi arms to match. I really would love to be able to enjoy this robe, but it's just, I don't know, I'm having trouble with it, and it's just not really doing it for me. I think this looks so much better without. I want to get this robe on from the Ben Kenobi figure since the costume design is pretty similar. And like, yeah, this just looks so much better to me. Am I crazy? Let me know in the comments below if you think the other one looks way better. It's not a perfect fit here because it's not sculpted for this figure, but I just love just seeing the sculpted robes that just, they fall the way that they're supposed to. And while I'm kind of making my ideal Kenobi here, I'm really liking the way that this Fett clone head looks, especially with the Ben Kenobi robes. Unfortunately, like, the Ben Kenobi figure is expensive, so I might have to reprint some Jedi robes for this one. And luckily, since his robe is sleeveless, I'm not going to have to repaint the arms, because I don't really like repainting Figuarts figures, just because they're so much more valuable than Black Series. Alright everyone, so now it is my turn to hear from you, so let me know in the comments below if you think that the Black Series or the SHFiguarts wins the day, and which combination of like heads and cloaks and hands and everything that you saw today is your favorite. Here are some more reviews from my channel that you might enjoy, and I'll see you all next time.